How do we become an attentive listener? That's very important. So what should we do for this? Because we are talking about effective public speaking. So if you want to become a good public speaker, you should be mindful of the listening. When you listen to others, you should be in the moment, and you should not allow yourself to get distracted by the distractions present uh, in the environment. For example, right now this fan is switched on, so its voice, it should not disturb me when I am speaking to you. If there is some kind of noise outside my chamber because a few students are working on their apogee project, I should not get distracted by that if I'm listening to something. So this is how, as a listener, I need to mindful of what I'm listening to. If I'm listening to J.K. Rowling's speech, or if I'm listening to Barack Obama's speech, if I'm listening to Narendra Modi's speech, I need to be mindful of what I'm following, what I'm trying to understand. In fact, I would like to quote what Rebecca Sharif has said in one of her in one of her articles. She has shared that every person can remember only 25% of what someone has said after a few minutes of the conversation. So if you are not mindful, if you are not listening attentively to the other person, you can see that even 25% also you will not be able to retain. So the goal of mindful listening is to silence whatever the internal noise you have. You need to silence your own thoughts and listen to the person objectively. You can have their cognitive interplay, that's a different thing. But if your internal noise is what you want to say after the person finishes, that means your internal noise is distracting you from the message that is being communicated. And if you listen attentively, you will become a very good speaker because you are listening to the great speakers. You are listening attentively. When you reply, it will be aptly. Excuse me. I'll have that. Gen of listening, it says that you should try to retain the information that you have received while listening. So when you are listening to good speakers, when you listen to the TED talks, when you listen to the great speeches, when you listen to the, even in the movies, you find that you find the who is there? Can you just tell me? What speeches do you find in the movies? Charlie Chaplin's speeches, right? There are many more you will find speeches in the, sometimes even in the web series also. If you see, I think in Breaking Bad also we find, I don't remember exactly, but because I don't watch many, but I can tell you that, in speeches you find that there is an integration of very good, extracts of these speeches. When you are listening to them, you are able to retain Dead Poets Society, Dead Poets Society, that movie is there, and there are wonderful, brief speeches by great speakers are there. Pause before you speak so that you can consider the effect of the words. So, you are listening to the other person. The other person has shared some information or might have communicated something very important. Just, wait and try to see that where the words are taking, in what direction, and then you decide that what way you should be replying or asking the questions. You should pay attention for a longer span. We should develop that habit, boost our self-confidence. And they listen to it. The moment it becomes complex, the moment it becomes slightly, not familiar, they start developing some kind of alienation, because somewhere down the line they think that, okay, we cannot really listen to this. It's going to be really complex. It's going to be really difficult. So you need to boost your own self-confidence also when you are listening, that no issues, I haven't heard anything on this topic, or maybe the information that is being shared I don't know, but I can understand some, I'll be able to make out what is being said. So you need to boost your self on esteem also. It's very important. I have found people, they are very knowledgeable, but because of low self-esteem, they are not able to speak well, or sometimes, they do not take initiatives. Whereas, they could be the best people to, take up those kinds of assignments. But they always, pull themselves back because they do not have the self-esteem. So for listening also, I suggest that you should have the self-esteem. So mindful listening can potentially have less physical and psychological benefits that we have discussed. Becoming an attentive listener requires you to overcome your distractions and overcome your barriers. If you have any that is going to be difficult, I cannot understand, all those negative self-talk, you need to overcome that. Overcome your obsession with the mobile phones. Time and again you are picking up the mobile phone and then looking at what message have you received and trying to reply. So if you think that you are listening to the other person's message, no. So you need to give undivided attention, where it should not be hearing, it should be listening. You are listening means you are trying to use your cognitive ability to make sense out of the message that is being given, because you are critically analyzing it as well. Use technology to your advantage. If you want, suppose you think that, okay, you need to pay more attention, you can use your headphones. That will be the best idea. Concentrate and feel involved. Whenever you listen to such speeches, because you want to improve your public speaking skills, I suggest that concentrate and feel involved. So what will happen, that whether you are listening to a very complicated kind of speech, or whether it is something which is slightly, you might not be aware, but you will find that you will be able to make sense of out of whatever is being said. So your involvement is going to help you to become an attentive listener. You should try to anticipate the idea. I said that you should not be, you should not hear, you should listen. And listening requires your participation. Listening is always active, listening is always attentive. So when you are listening to the ideas, you can always anticipate what could be the next idea. And develop interest, that is always required. If you develop your interest, you will find that very quickly you will remember, and you will acquire the kind of vocabulary, expressions, and the ways of saying things which will suit to different purposes, and you will find that you have become a very good learner. So that is automatically going to help you become a good speaker as well. So you need to be a good reader. Now, how to become a good reader? I would just try to give you a few tips. Try to be as inquisitive as possible. You should have a few books in your rack which give you, some kind of knowledge or boosting, or, some kind of mindfulness or direction, I'd say, other than your discipline books. Because, if you're using just your discipline books and not reading anything else, in day-to-day conversations, in when in the times of socialization, or in times of informal discussion at the profession, in the professional arena also, you will feel yourself misfit. So if you are inquisitive, you are trying to know your field, but at the same time, you are trying to read something else as well. So you should be doing that. See, reading is an opportunity to know the world around you, to know about yourself, to know about the things you are interested in. So those are the opportunities. And every day you should be excited to read something or the other. Enjoy the expedition. This is kind of an expedition. If you don't want to know, for example, here is the image of the book, Think and Grow Rich. You should, if you want to complete this in 1 week, take it as an expedition and then enjoy it and try to know, okay, what the author is trying to say. So these ideas you can always use when you are going to give the public speeches. Explore, learn, and grow. Then you should always regard this, books, magazines, journals as a treasure. You should always have a few on your table, a few in your book rack, so that and pick them up while you. If you don't get time, otherwise you can always read, pick up one and read when you go to bed. Focus on the message, beginning, ending, and linkers. That's very important, because if you focus on the message, you are getting ideas. If you are focusing on the beginning, you are trying to understand how can I grab the attention of my audience when I deliver such kind of a speech. If I have to end, how am I going to put a close to my speech? Linkers, they help you in, getting to know how you can connect the various ideas. Use intensive and close reading. That will really help you. So, to conclude what I have talked about, because I know that you will be employed in big companies. Maybe some of you will work for Pfizer or Cipla or Johnson and Johnson, or maybe Ranbaxy, whatever. Because if you go by your discipline choice, I'm very sure you will find the situations or occasions where you will be addressing, big gathering skills. I'm very sure that is going to, add a feather in your cap. You will feel yourself confident, and you will be successful as a professional, have better visibility in your organization. So I have tried to make you understand that how